Hey guys, I've got a new coding project here, and this one's actually a game. So this one is a game that I've seen a couple of different places. I've seen it made as a mobile game. I've seen it as a board game, and the board game is what I actually based it off of. It was called MasterMind, and basically the idea of the game is there were these four slots, and it was a two-player game. And one person would make this code, and it was the other person's goal to try and crack the code within a certain number of guesses. So I have a modified version here. In the original game, they had these little colored pegs, I believe it was, and there were six different colors. There was red, green, blue, yellow, black, and white. So six different options and then four positions. And I believe you had 10 tries to try and crack it. And the goal of how you would try and crack it is when you made a guess, you would get this feedback of red pegs or white pegs. A red peg meant that you had a correct colored thing in the correct position. So you had something perfectly correct. And a white one meant you had something correct but it was in the wrong position. So for example, if the code was red, red, blue, blue, but you had put in blue, blue, red, red, you would get four white things back because you had all the correct things, they were just in the wrong order. Now if you had like red, blue, blue, red, you would get two red ones and two white ones because two of them are in the correct position and the correct numbers, and two of them were the correct numbers but not the right, or the right colors but not in the correct position. So the modified version I've created here is instead of colors, I just use numbers 1 through 6. And the other adjustment I made is you get infinite tries, and it's a one-player game, so the answer is randomly generated. So we'll play a game here. We'll do 1, 1, 2, 2 as our initial guess. So we got 3 reg pegs. Wow, what a wonderful start. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to switch these to 3 and see what that gives us. So our red pegs has dropped to 2. So we know that these two are correct. Probably. There's a chance that one of these, I'm going to switch this one back to 2. This one's going to back to 2 because I know that that's the correct one now. And we're going to up this to 4. Can't have been 4, so we'll try 5. It's not 5, so I believe the correct answer is 1162. Yep, that's it. So you can see it took me 6 tries and I was able to win. And then I can click start over and play again. Now I can play this game, and if I want to, oh boy, I can just give up. So like if I try that, oh look, I got 2 red pegs, it's too difficult. I can give up and it will tell me the correct answer. So we're going to hop over in the code and show you how this little game works. Alright, so the code for this one is very, very long, and that's mainly due to the fact that I have to repeat different things multiple times, but in slightly different ways. And with a lot of these projects that I'm showing off recently, just because I've only just now decided to show them off, a lot of these are going to be older projects that I did years and years ago when I was fairly new to coding. So there were a lot of concepts I didn't know about, such as a really good way of doing loops. So I'm sure there are many of you out there who are going to look at this and go, wow, there's a million ways you could have done that better. I totally agree. Just be aware that this was some of my earlier coding, so the fact that I got it working at all is pretty impressive in my opinion. So I've got a couple of CSS things here, just setting up some of the basic HTML design stuff. It's really nothing fancy. I did make it look a little nicer than some of these other projects just because this was one of my bigger projects to do. And then of course here's the super basic HTML setup. You've got the instructions listed out here. You've got the different inputs and the buttons and the response box. And so here's where I declare all my variables, and you can see there's quite a few. So here is the randomly generated answer. So you have answer position 1, answer position 2, answer position 3, and answer position 4. Then I have my ask positions, which are initially set to 0. I have red feed, which is saying how many red pegs are we going to give them back, and white pegs. And then is position 1 correct through is position 4 correct, number of moves you've done, and then number of ones. So that's like the number of ones. So like if the code was 1113, you would have 3 ones. So we would say there were 3 ones. And I know that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but it will when we go into the actual coding below. And then we have answer number of ones. Sorry, I mixed these up. This number of ones is ask number of ones. So if they asked if the question was 1113, we would have 3 ones. These ones here are for the answer. So every time you click the ask button, it runs this function. So we get the ask positions. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, we get whatever they put in. We reset all the other variables except for like moves and some other ones that are necessary for the whole game. And now here is where we calculate the number of each color answer. So we get the answer position and we say if it's equal to 1, then the answer number of ones is +1. And we repeat that for answer position 1 6 times, answer position 2 6 times, answer position 3 6 times, and answer position 4 6 times. And what I mentioned earlier is like this would work really well inside of like a for loop, but I was not sure of how to do that back then, so I just wrote it all out. And very inefficient, but it still works. So then here it counts the red pegs. This was actually probably the easier part of the whole program. I just said, okay, well, if they're equal to each other, then add 1 to the red pegs. And then here's where things got a little complicated, because now we got to start counting the white pegs. But the problem with that is I would have some bugs that it would count something for a red peg and a white peg, and then you would get a very confusing answer of like, oh, well, you've got 2 red pegs and 3 white pegs. And you go, but that's 5 pegs. That can't make sense in this game. So I would have errors like that, so I had to go through and figure out how to do that. So this extra stuff here is where we're actually removing those duplicates. And then here is where we finally actually count how many white pegs we have. And so that counts up here, or no, that's down here. This counts how many of each color you have that isn't registered as a red peg. So we're actually reducing our number of pegs based on how many red pegs we had. And then finally we count how many red pegs we have. So finally we're going to return those hints to the player. And then if you win, which just means if all the red pegs were equal to 4, meaning every single thing is correct, then it tells you you win. It gives you the option, it removes some of the extra stuff we don't need, gives you the option to start over, which just reloads the page actually. And then of course we have this forfeit button, which if you lose, it just displays the answer and then resets everything and gives you the option to start over again. So yeah, as you can see, this is definitely a little bit older. Hasn't gotten a lot of expertise in it, but it does work. So, you know, maybe I'll go back to it someday and make it a little more efficient so it's not 444 lines of code. Very unnecessary. Anyway, thanks for watching, and if you like more projects like this, be sure to check out my channel. See you next time.